Hi everybody, and welcome to Movie Recaps with Brit. Today, we will be taking a look at a movie titled About Time. Without further ado, let's get started. The lead character, Chi, is an ambitious girl with a stunning singing voice. Her aspiration is to one day take the spotlight in a musical drama. However, beneath her cheerful demeanor, Chi conceals a mysterious secret that goes against natural laws. This secret power allows her to glimpse the remaining time of a person's life. Sadly, it's more of a burden as she's powerless to change the course of fate, resigned to simply await the inevitable. On an afternoon bus ride, Chi becomes a witness to a chain of crashes on a bridge. Swiftly, police and paramedics rush in to aid those in need. Seeing beyond the chaos due to her unique ability, Chi observes the remaining time of the individuals involved. Among them, an elderly couple emerges unscathed but shaken. While offering a band-aid to the wife, Chi realizes the husband's life is down to a single minute. Frozen and uncertain, she watches as he succumbs to a heart attack. Comforting the wife, Chi encourages her to cherish the fleeting moments. Though she can't do anything to change their life, she offers help in small ways. As the story unfolds, it's unveiled that Chi herself has a mere 167 days left. Facing her own mortality, she's determined to embrace life fully. In pursuit of her aspirations, she auditions for every local musical show, hoping for a chance to shine. Time passes, and she pays a visit to her hospital friend, Ms. O. Despite their age difference, they share a strong bond. Recently, Ms. O began dating Mr. Park, who Chi notices has only 6 to 7 days left, while Ms. O has 2 years. Chi absorbs this information silently, her heart going out to them. Leaving the hospital, Chi is struck by a car, driven by a young man named Lee who grapples with anxiety attacks and driving phobia. Lee, heir to a prosperous business and an emerging entertainment company, confronts Chi, shifting blame instead of apologizing. A heated dispute ensues, culminating in Lee coercing Chi into a wheelchair, to ensure her well-being is assessed by a doctor to prevent potential legal issues. This delays her audition significantly. In need of a ride, Chi requests a lift from Lee, despite his persistent attempts to push her away. Noticing his fear of driving, Chi takes the wheel and swiftly reaches the destination. After bidding her farewell, Lee realizes she took the car keys, and trails her to an auditorium. Here, we meet Joe, a strict musical choreographer known for his perfectionism. Despite anxiety, Chi delivers a beautiful song on childhood love. From the crowd, Lee marvels at her talent. Joe, however, deems her performance lacking in depth, challenging her to prove her experience of love. Panicking, Chi spots Lee and rushes to him, planting a quick kiss. Yet, Joe remains unmoved, leading to Chi's rejection. Lee is taken aback, accusing Chi of key theft and aggression. Chi calmly returns the key, apologizes, and departs. Witnessing her tears, Lee regrets his outburst. Later, Chi confides in her friend Sung Hee, who's aware of Chi's unique ability. They discuss Chi's futile attempts to prevent deaths, which always end tragically. Meanwhile, Lee enjoys a romantic date with his girlfriend B, who is both wealthy and seemingly compatible with Lee. However, unlike him, B possesses an arrogant and manipulative demeanor. Lee's proposals are met with silent acceptance, as she senses his lack of genuine affection. Wanting mutual feelings before marriage, she withholds her consent. Lee prepares for a trip to China to meet an investor. Coincidentally, Chi also receives a scuba guide offer in China. Saying farewell to her family, she boards a flight. Upon arrival, both Lee and Chi find themselves lodging in the same villa. Lee's secretary reveals plans for a scuba diving outing with an investor, leaving him no choice but to comply despite his anxiety. Later, during a scuba diving expedition, Lee discovers that Chi is their guide. Following her lead, they explore the underwater world. After the tour, as everyone returns to the boat, Chi realizes Lee's absence. She swiftly dives back and locates him. Lee, having lost hope, is relieved to see her. Sharing an oxygen tube, they ascend while holding hands. Suddenly, Chi's timer freezes, shocking her. She gazes at it in disbelief before losing consciousness. Upon awakening aboard the boat, her watch functions normally. However, when Lee enters, it halts once more. A surprised Chi stares at him and then at her wrist. To test his influence, she steps away from him. As she foresaw, the timer halts only in his presence, suggesting a chance for a longer life if they're together. In the next scene, Chi is back in Korea with Sung Hee, equally surprised by the watch's behavior. She also recalls not seeing a timer on Lee. A week later, news arrives that Lee and director Joe are collaborating on a major well-funded musical. Winning a role could bring Chi closer to Lee and fulfill her aspirations. Starting the next day, she intensively trains and readies herself for the performance. Amidst this, Lee and Joe engage in a subtle power struggle for control in the selection process. While Joe desires independence, Lee's role as the organizer grants him influence. At the audition, Chi delivers a vastly improved performance, captivating the room. Strangely, her song triggers an odd sensation in Lee's heart, synchronizing his heartbeat with the rhythm. Overwhelmed, he steps outside. Observing his absence, Chi confides in Sung-hee, who devises a plan to unite them. The audition results are pending, but Chi is determined to extend her life by staying close to Lee. Later, Chi visits his office, pretending to apply as his driver. Lee dismisses her, but she persists, convinced she's the ideal candidate. Outside his office, she approaches him at his home, boldly suggesting a date. He rejects the proposal. Before they can continue their conversation, 3 men sent by Sung-hee arrive and interrupt them. These men are actors and their purpose is to assault Lee. The intended plan involves Chi rescuing Lee in order to gain his affection. Instead, they all end up at the police station. The officer consoles Lee, directing him to the waiting room. As they wait, Chi dozes off on Lee's shoulder. Lee resists the urge to resent her, yet a warm feeling fills his chest. He brushes her hand, attributing it to gratitude for her saving him while scuba diving. Without them knowing, her timer reverses, prolonging her life. As they step outside, Chi attempts conversation, but it's met with initial silence from him. Before departing, he hands her the car keys and requests punctuality for the next day. Chi secures the role as his driver, granting her proximity to Lee and the chance to extend her life. Driving away, Lee observes her jubilation and smiles. The next morning, he gathers information about her. Chi's family was once affluent, but her father's conviction for embezzlement caused their downfall. Despite their current circumstances, Chi remains forward-looking. Stepping out, Lee observes her cheerful singing as she awaits him. Her presence eases his mood. They head to his office, and Lee strives not to gaze at her. However, she occupies his thoughts all day, driving him to frustration, even shouting at his laptop as if it were Chi. Conversely, she also attempts to be close to him. Later, they encounter Joe, who recalls Chi from the audition. He praises her improved voice since the last time they met, boosting Chi's spirits despite pending audition results. Lee notices her change in mood and feels a twinge of jealousy. As she enthuses about the director, his jealousy turns to irritation, prompting him to request her silence. Later, in his office, Lee notices a picture he no longer likes. His assistant removes it, mentioning his tendency to dislike pictures after 3 months. This leads Lee to realize that prolonged exposure lessens his attraction. Inspired, he decides to apply the same strategy to suppress his feelings for Chi. So, after their work hours, Lee invites her to dinner. Puzzled by his sudden kindness, Chi agrees. Contrary to his intent, Lee can't help but stare at her, becoming increasingly frustrated. During a moment alone, Chi receives a call from her imprisoned father. Observing her longing, Lee empathizes with her situation. Post-dinner, on their way to the car, Lee inadvertently grabs her arm. Chi notices her timer reversing and is astonished. She keeps this revelation to herself, as the idea of extending her life contradicts her acceptance of her imminent death. Subsequently, Lee takes her to the movies to help shift his focus. Chi, being a diligent employee, follows him. During the movie, Chi seeks to confirm whether her timer stops upon touching Lee. Unintentionally brushing his hand leads to an awkward exchange. Lee's proximity flusters her, causing her cheeks to redden. Glancing at the timer, she confirms that her time has reversed. The next day, an email arrives, informing Chi she wasn't chosen for the musical. On encountering Joe, he praises her emotive voice, but says it lacks expression. He likens her to a raw gem, unsuitable for the polished musical they seek. As he critiques her, Chi retaliates, playfully labeling him a peanut before walking away, leaving him puzzled. Later, Lee and B come across Chi, discovering she's their new driver. B becomes wary and invites Chi to dinner with them. Although Lee hesitates, Chi doesn't mind. At the restaurant, they're told only 2 seats are reserved inside, hence Chi will have to eat on the terrace alone. Lee suggests she leaves, fearing that she might see it as disrespectful, but B disagrees, giving Chi a check to cover her meal. Ultimately, Lee and B dine together, yet Lee can't help but keep his eyes on Chi. He's surprised by her apparent enjoyment, despite what he perceives as humiliation. While B heads to the restroom, Lee seizes the moment to approach Chi. He leads her outside the restaurant, and questions her about how she is able to feel at ease, with him being with another woman. Baffled, Chi meets his gaze as he admits his feelings for her. Thank you for watching our movie recap. While it may seem simple, it actually took a lot of hard work and dedication to produce. If you enjoyed the video, we kindly ask you to show your support by liking and subscribing to our channel. By doing so, you'll stay updated on our latest content and help us continue creating more in-depth analyses and critiques of the movies you love. Thank you again for your support.